Guys don't want to think about the time when the checks stop rolling in. And I think that's the biggest thing is fear that sets them aside to say, I don't need to worry about life after football because I'm playing football and that's what I'm focused on. But again, it takes that one hit, that one play to kind of end that dream.
It's the offseason for the Calgary Stampeders and the rest of the CFL. The majority of these athletes try to use this spare time to catch up with family and friends, yet in the back of their minds, there's an anticipation of the season ahead. Off-season workouts, film, and community events fill up the schedules of the almost 70 players on the active Stampeders roster. Football is a massive portion of these athletes' lives, and for a majority of these players, it's the be-all and end-all. With the average career in the CFL lasting under 4 years, the men on the gridiron still have decades upon decades of their lives to look forward to upon retirement. Yet with such a large portion of these athletes' lives remaining post-football, over 90% of the players don't have an education or skills to provide a sufficient income. The 2014 Grey Cup MVP earned a degree at Eastern Washington University, and while he has given a lot of thought to life after football, he says that many of his teammates and opponents have not.
I don't think that the majority of professional athletes do at all. I think they think that they're going to make enough money in professional sports in order to last themselves a lifetime, and it's just not true. I'm one of the higher paid athletes in the league, and money doesn't just sit in your bank account. You know, no matter what, the more money you have, the more money you spend, and it's about becoming better at doing it. You know, spending less, becoming frugal, setting that plan, and like even speaking to an accountant, it's, hey, put 6 months of salary aside, because if you ever get fired or something terrible ever happens and you're out of work for 6 months, how are you going to live without that money?
While Mitchell is one of the highest paid players in the league, the average salary of a CFL player is only around $80,000 a year. While this number is higher than the national average of $49,000 a year, once the CFL career is over, many of the players have nowhere to go when they enter the workforce. Trying to find the time to gain experience in the working world while in a CFL career can be a near impossible task with all the preparation needed to compete on a team. Many athletes, including Stampeders fullback Rob Cote, have had football in their lives since childhood.
Well, I started playing football before I think I was making my own decisions. I think I played my first season when I was 8. My brother had started the year before, and I was too young, and so I waited another year and started. We were actually living in Reno, Nevada, in the States at the time, and football is pretty big there, so we were at the age, thought we'd try it out, and then just continue to play every year after that. And I don't think I ever chose to become a professional football player. It thankfully chose me, I guess. I just kind of kept plugging away and working hard, and the opportunity presented itself before I ever thought it would, but I guess I never planned on that happening at all. It just, things fell into place.
Athletes such as Cote have found themselves on a spot on a professional roster. However, that position is never permanent. The turnover of CFL players is high, with many forced to vacate their spot to someone better suited for that role. For example, only one quarterback is fortunate enough to take a snap under center at any given time, yet there are always 3 other quarterbacks on the sideline waiting to take that position. Cote says that the feeling of amateur football is very much different to that of the big leagues.
When you're playing amateur football, you play purely for the love of the game, because you love to and you want to play, and then transitioning into a professional where if you mess up or something happens, then it's not your buddies telling you, come on man, we need to be better. It's your coach telling you he's going to cut you if you don't get it right next time.
With so much focus on keeping a job on a CFL team, there is very little time to focus on the day a player has played his final snap. The potential of losing a job due to a better player, a trade, or even a sudden injury can leave an athlete out of work in a blink of an eye. These scenarios are very common in today's game, and the impact on these players is tremendous. 78% of players are bankrupt, divorced, or unemployed within 2 years of leaving the game. 65% of players feel that they lost their purpose in life. And in 2008, former NFL player Ken Rutgers, who has developed programs to help players, stated that the suicide rate of football players is 6 times the national average of any other profession. These statistics found their way to Jack Fulton, a former rancher from small-town Vulcan, Alberta.
Well, I think what happens to an awful lot of them is right from the time they been 12, 13, 14 years old, they've realized they've got the physical ability to possibly, go a long ways. So their whole focus has been on football. And it's like Herm Harrison used to say, their dream, their fulfillment in life is to become a professional. Once they're professionals, they stop dreaming. They stop looking ahead. And in this sport, it's, what are you doing for me on the field? And there's always new guys coming up that are younger, faster. And so these guys hang on pretty hard to, once they get there, to stay there. And so the unfortunate part is they don't have the time, and nobody seems to be giving them the time to make them aware of the fact that you're still young men when you're done your professional football career. And so maybe you need to start to, think, like the stats are not very good. NFL or CFL. A lot of people say, well, they make more money in the NFL so they don't have as many problems, but they do. Plus or minus 1 or 2%, 78% are bankrupt or divorced or both within 2 years of retirement. So those are the kinds of things we're trying to change them numbers as time goes by. So
Fulton is trying to change these numbers by gathering former and current CFLers to create Life Choice Dynamics. Under Life Choice Dynamics, Fulton and his team developed a program that assists players to prepare for a successful transition from football into a post-football career and civilian life. While Jack now uses this program to help Stampeders as they venture into the future, the foundation of Life Choice Dynamics started due to one former player.
I got to know Alondra Johnson, who played with the Stampeders for 13 years, right near the end of his career in 2004. And so anyway, when AJ retired, like with a lot of these guys, things started kind of falling apart. He was 38 years old, wasn't really sure or hadn't planned what his future was going to be after football. So that's how it all started with me. I just phoned up here to talk to somebody to see if they had anything at the team level or at the CFL level to help these guys transition out of football into real life, And I didn't get a lot of answers from the Stampeder office, so I thought, well, I'd take a chance. I phoned out and talked to Wally Buono, because Wally coached him the whole time he was here. And Wally was the one that phoned me back. So this is summer of 2005, and he said there isn't anything in the CFL, but he said there absolutely needs to be. And so what Wally did was put me in touch with Gerald Roper, a ex-BC Lion, and I started hearing some of the stories of, some of the guys that, well, one guy, Bill Stevenson, had 7 Grey Cup rings. Another fella, 5 Grey Cup rings, and they were passed on before they were 50 years old, So I started to realize then that something needed to be done, so I just took it upon myself. We spent 4 or 5 years building a program, and then got to know Herm Harrison, and Herm set up a meeting with John Huffnagel. It was the end of 2011, and we spent about an hour in Huff's office and shared with him my passion and what was going on. He said, we want you here. And so this will be my 5th season actually being in the dressing room and working with the guys.
While Jack has spent his 5 seasons as a life coach with the Stampeders, the post-football program is still unique to the Calgary Stampeders in the CFL. 9 teams make up the Canadian Football League, yet only the Stampeders have a program in place to help players transition to life after football. Stampeders, such as Mitchell, know how important a post-football program is for the players, and while Jack would like to see Life Choice Dynamics expand to other CFL markets, there are a lot of components involved in order to successfully help other teams.
Well, in the NFL, my first meeting with a coach up here was with Corey Chamlin when he was the defensive back coach here in Calgary. And Corey shared with me, he said, basically there is an office in every NFL team that does what I'm doing now, but there's nothing like this in the CFL. And so my board of directors, there's Kevin Glenn, RJ Franklin, who's now retired, Keon Raymond, Rob Cote, Randy Chevrier, and we've got those guys there to get a better idea of the feel, of what's really going on in some of these guys' lives. So what we're preparing to do, we haven't been prepared yet to do it. First, we needed to find out accepted by management, which we have been, probably the most important is that the players respond, which we've had great success there. And the third thing was to make sure the corporate community would be involved, and they are too. So we're at a place that I'm guessing in the next year, maybe 2 years, we'll be in a position where we're going to start to, I've talked to the BC Lions a little bit about it, and I've talked to Saskatchewan Rough Riders a little bit about it with Corey Chamlin when he was out there. And so the plan is at some point in time is we will start to offer the same thing in each CFL city. And Kevin Glenn, when he became part of Life Choice Dynamics when he was playing here in Calgary, I asked him, I said, where do you see yourself in this thing? And he said, I've been a player rep at every team I've played at. So he said, what I'd like to do is be responsible for helping head up going to each CFL team and trying to get this thing established. So.
Oh, it's imperative, especially finally being a part of it and understanding it, and seeing the connections that I'm already making. Jack has helped me meet a lot of people in the business world, just out there in the community, even volunteer-wise, and it puts your face out there in a different light. It makes somebody see you more in a suit than in a helmet and a uniform, and that's important to make sure people realize you're not a mascot for a team. You're a human being that knows how to function outside of a sport. And so having a program like this that can get you into that and start saying, okay, well, here, let's introduce you to multiple people and have you almost intern type thing, really just try things out to find out what you're interested in and what field you think would be good for you to go into. It's always great to get that start before football is ever even over.
Life Choice Dynamics has managed to help the players transition into numerous amounts of jobs and career paths. Stampeders have consistently found work with the police force or with the fire department upon retirement. However, Jack has seen players transfer to the life of teaching and even business. Even the 2013 CFL Most Outstanding Player in John Cornish found himself working as a banker during his time with the Stampeders. And while Life Choice Dynamics helps the players find work they will enjoy doing post-football, Cote says that there's still one thing that's keeping him playing the game.
But what keeps me going, it would be definitely still love to play the game, love to be, as I'm sure any athlete, current or ex, would tell you, the locker room and being part of a team, being in that room with those guys is just something that's pretty hard to compete with. Going into a locker room with the guys that you've gone to war with for 18 weeks in a row and back in the locker room in BC Place after you just won the Grey Cup with them, and sharing a moment like that is something pretty special and hard to replicate. And so being able to try and work towards doing that again and again, I think that's really what keeps me going.
Athletes in the CFL are becoming more aware of their futures once their time in football is over. Life Choice Dynamics has been able to provide these men with opportunities once they exit the field for the last time. And while Jack is impressed by the amount this program has caught on, he says there's still plenty left he would love to see done.
Pleased with the response that we've had. I'm excited with the fellows like Kevin Glenn, RJ Franklin, who are really quite involved in what we're doing. And it's my hope that somewhere down the road, long after I'm gone, that this thing's established in the CFL. And probably I'd love to see them stats turned around. I'd like to see 78% of the guys be successful in their marriages and in business and in everything else when it's all over. And hopefully it's a result of what we're trying to accomplish.